Alright, so I ended up having to put it off a little longer than I expected to, and I thought I was going to have to put it off for even longer, but here it is, finally, my follow-up to my 2 cents on Naruto, which some of you guys really didn't like. I don't really understand why, but some of you seem to think that I was claiming in that video that Naruto is the only worthwhile shonen series ever since Dragon Ball Z, and that's definitely not what I said or what I meant, but I'm honestly not bothered by it, so let's just move on. Just as I feel that Naruto manages to be one of the best, if not the best, follow-ups to that era, that initial era of popular shonen entertainment, I really think that Boruto manages to be a really solid, really worthwhile follow-up to Naruto itself. They see Boruto as just Naruto all over again, except now Naruto's in it too, as an older character, and his power has been dumbed down, which is not true, and I will get into that a little bit later. And I can certainly see why people would feel that way. Boruto, in many ways, is just Naruto all over again. It is, in many ways, just the same series all over again. Like, right down to the fact that since the very first episode, it's obvious that we're going to see this kid grow from a kid to a young adult, the same way that we saw Naruto do so in Naruto. But I see no reason to dwell on the similarities here, because I feel like the similarities are not only necessary to this sequel, but one of the best things about it. Like, first of all, I don't mind that the stories feel kind of repetitive. A certain amount of repetitiveness in its stories is just something you have to learn to live with when it comes to shonen entertainment in general. In a shonen fight series, you are going to get arc after arc where the characters fight against some guy who is probably stronger than the last guy they fought against. That's just how it works. The tropes can't really be applied any other way. So the fact that the stories feel a little redundant and feel a little repetitive and feel like the stories from Naruto, that doesn't bother me at all. And I would certainly hope that that's not what bothers other people who watch this show who are fans of the genre. I feel like what people probably mean when they say that this show is repetitive, that this show is reminiscent of the original, is that the characters are repetitive, that the characters are basically carbon copies of their parents. But I think that's one of the best things about it. I think that's what makes this show what it is. Yes, Boruto is very much like Naruto. His personality is very similar. He has similar quirks, and he even has a power that he doesn't understand hidden within him that he needs to unlock for future events to happen. But the fact that he is, in those ways, so much like his father, calls to attention the ways in which he's different. First of all, he has more natural talent than his father did, as a fighter and as a ninja, or at least what this society thinks of as a ninja. He doesn't seem like he has to work as hard to learn the skills and abilities that he utilizes on a daily basis. But you could also argue that Naruto might have turned out that way too. He might have started out that way too, if he had had a family looking out for him and encouraging him to be what he could be, to better himself, rather than people constantly putting him down. Like, even though it is a theme of the show that Naruto isn't around as often as he probably should be because he's incredibly busy leading his people, both of Boruto's parents are there, and both of them know how important it is for a child to receive encouragement. As in terms of just kind of the general themes of their upbringings, Naruto and Hinata actually had pretty similar childhoods. Even the fact that Naruto isn't there as much for Boruto as he should be, but is still there, he still physically exists, he's still alive in this world, serves as both a similarity and a difference to Naruto himself. Naruto's father wasn't there when he needed him most either, but Naruto also couldn't go to his father and talk to him, or his father couldn't come to him and apologize and try to make amends and do better. Sasuke and Sakura's daughter, whose name I do not remember at the moment, and that really bugs me because I really like her character, besides kind of combining the best traits of those two characters, which is just cool in general because I do like both of them a lot, feels as a character like the kind of character that Sasuke himself might have been if he hadn't been raised as part of like the chosen family and held up on a pedestal his entire life. And that theme carries throughout the entire cast of the series, which is primarily made up of the kids of the characters from the previous series. They are all in some way or another similar to their parents, but that is, I believe, intentional so that we can sort of compare and contrast their development to the development of their parents and look at it as sort of a what-if type of scenario. Not only do we get to see what Naruto might have been if he had had a family around, not only do we get to see through the interactions between Naruto and Boruto what it might have been like for Naruto to confront his father about not being there for him, we also just, in general, get to see some hints and inklings at the different paths that the Naruto characters, that the young characters in Naruto might have taken if things had been just a little different for them. And there's a certain amount of dramatic irony behind the fact that now the kids from the previous series are the adults in this one. Like, this is how things were in Naruto, too. Every single one of the adult characters who mentored the kids, who helped the kids, who defended the kids, who fought beside the kids, were kids too. They went to that same ninja academy. They had a very similar upbringing to the young characters in that series. But they had all grown and gotten stronger as they had grown up. Now we are getting to see characters who we knew as kids, who we knew at their starting point, assuming that role, adding depth and perspective to that role, and I find that super interesting. But at the same time, I can understand why other people wouldn't find it all that interesting, as it does involve us following characters who are very similar to characters who we have already followed in other similar situations. I'm not saying that this show is objectively good for the reasons that I've cited here, I'm just saying that that's why I think it is. But I don't understand the complaint that the show is bad because characters like Naruto and Sasuke have been depowered somehow. That is absolutely ludicrous, and the most recent arc of the series seems to be kind of proving that over again. Like, just because Naruto doesn't go all out in every single fight, or he gets caught off guard from time to time, does not mean that he's been depowered. Or do you guys not remember how Kakashi was portrayed in the original series? Kakashi started out as a very strong and capable character, sure, but Kakashi early on in the series showed far less power than he showed later on in the series, despite the fact that most of the abilities that he showed later on in the series he already possessed at the start. That's just what's happening with characters like Naruto and Sasuke now. When faced with a threat, they tend to respond with just as much force as they feel necessary, nothing more, so as not to risk escalating things. Or just to keep up dramatic tension. It doesn't really matter why. The fact of the matter is, they haven't been depowered, we just haven't really seen them go all out yet. So that argument against the show does really annoy me, and I would argue that point with you. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. This show's not going to be for everyone, because this show is, by design, a derivative of Naruto, and Naruto was already too derivative for some people to get into it in the first place. I like it. I even like the movie, which I don't think was as good as the series has turned out to be since then. Like, the series right now is on an arc which is retelling the events from the movie, and just from what little I've seen of that arc so far, I think it's leagues better. Mostly because they're actually going into depth with the villains and giving them real personality, which is something the movie didn't have time to do. Which is, of course, another strength of this franchise, I guess you would say at this point. The villains in it are always super interesting and have a decent amount of depth and character to them. And Boruto does give us that again. That has remained consistent across the transition between Naruto and Boruto. And honestly, I would probably think that just that would make this show worthwhile. But at the end of the day, that has been my 2 cents on this topic. As per usual, I'd like to know what you guys think of Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, which is so grammatically incorrect that it kills me. Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord, link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.